since I do movies, I talk movies with you every week on your show. I still don't have a good sense of where you stand on spoilers. Are you the kind of person that can't stand to hear any hint of something because it might spoil the movie, or are you one of these guys who, I don't care if the movie's any good, it won't matter anyway?
Yeah, I'm one of those that it makes me mad when those spoil. And it can be just as simple as, like, hey, Roger, did you see that movie last night? Yeah, man, at the end I cried. Thanks.
That ruins it for you?
Thanks. Right?
He just told you how he reacted. Yeah, okay. So I know, I get you. Okay, so the reason this whole issue about spoilers, in fact, one of my most fun moments last week was I had been sitting on for like 3 or 4 days Avengers Endgame. I couldn't talk to anybody because nobody wanted to hear anything, and I didn't want to spoil it for them. Right. And there's a guy in the newsroom who says, I don't care, Tom. Just tell me what happens. I'm probably not going to get around to seeing it for 6 months anyway. And so I could unspool all these things, and it didn't bother. And it was a burden off my chest. But the reason we're talking about spoilers right now is because they are as hot of the moment as you can get. For this kind of accident of fate, you have 2 major events happening at the same time. We've already mentioned Avengers Endgame, the wrap-up of a 22-film cycle with all the original Avengers. Half of them had died in the earlier version. What's going to happen in this finale? That everyone was on tenterhooks about finding out what was going to happen. At the very same time that Game of Thrones is in its final season, and there are people just as sort of obsessed with that as there are people with the Avengers. And so there are spoiler alerts everywhere. In fact, we did this funny bit on your show, and I think I sort of did it here too, where I kind of reviewed Avengers Endgame without giving anything away, kind of like talking about sort of kind of reactions in general, but not specifics, because we don't want to give things away. So there's a lot of discussion about spoilers, and one interesting article we ran across talks about spoilers. Everyone says the reason spoilers are so damaging is because we have the internet, and it spreads like wildfire, and people find out things all the time. And it turns out this goes way back to Victorian times, when people used to write weekly installments of their novels, that spoilers were driving people crazy over 150 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, that was the good news. I understand the spoilers probably. I mean, it is kind of cool to find out that it was happening in Victorian times.
Yeah.
I understand that things were happening like that, but now today, people are just want to be ruthless about it. They just want to be evil and mean. Yeah. I had a friend of mine on Facebook last week that did that on Friday morning. He got on Facebook and gave a whole bunch of details to Endgame. Right?
He did, yes.
Yeah, that's not cool. And then you had Shady McCoy.
Yes.
LaShawn McCoy, who plays for the Buffalo Bills.
Yep. Great running back.
He spoils it.
Yeah. And he must have millions of followers. I mean, that's taking down a whole forest of fans.
Like, what does that say about a person that just thrives on spoiling it for someone?
Yeah.
I know what it says. It says that you're selfish. And that's really the common denominator in all this. Yes, you're right. Since Victorian times, there have always been selfish people, right? But now, today, we get to really see people's selfishness. And it doesn't matter how much money you have or what class or type that you are, what culture you're from. There's selfish people everywhere, Tom.
Okay.